We serve our people before they serve us. We trust our people before they trust us. We give love our people before they love us. And our role as a leader in life is to help our people get what they want out of life. So we're paying attention to that all the time. And rather than expecting them to give us first, we give them first. And that's what it takes. When they know that you care about them, right, almost more than you care about yourself, doesn't mean you don't care about yourself, but that they understand that they believe that you're willing to do anything for them and to help them. And so then they want to do the same thing for you.
Welcome to yet another episode of the PAYAL NANJIANI Leadership Podcast, where you get to learn everything about leadership and success. This is your host, PAYAL NANJIANI, and you know it's my commitment to connect you with some of the best ideas and individuals in the world that can help you to grow at your work and be super successful. Known as the man behind the success of Starbucks, scaling up Starbucks from the 28 stores to over 15,000 stores, we have with us today on this episode none other than Howard Behar. Howard has been the former president of Starbucks Coffee Company International and the author of 2 books, It's Not About the Coffee and The Magic Cup. During his tenure, he participated in the growth of the company from 28 stores, taking it to over 15,000 stores spanning 5 continents. He served on the Starbucks board of directors for 12 years before retiring. Mr. Behar is currently a trustee for the Sherry and Les Biller Family Foundation and is on the advisory board of the Amherst Capital. Howard joins us today on this episode of the PAYAL NANJIANI Leadership Podcast to talk about servant leadership, the future of business. Howard, welcome to this episode. It is such an honor and a pleasure to have you here with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And like you said, you're right now in the Seattle area. It's a bright, bright morning for you. And you've had a career span of over 50 years. So how about this, Howard? Give us your backstory. How did you get to do what you are doing? What are some of the roles you've played in these years?
Well, it's it's like probably all of us were influenced by our family. And my father was a small business person. He was an immigrant to the United States in the early 1900s. And he opened up a small mom and pop grocery store. And so I watched him struggle and watched him work hard and watched, how he did business and how he paid his bills and how he hired people and how he served his customers. And that became a foundation for me. And I was hooked on retail because I love the customer interaction, the human interaction. And so that's kind of the path I followed throughout my whole life. And when I was in my mid 40s, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And I met this young guy named Howard Schultz, who was the then CEO of this tiny coffee company called Starbucks in Seattle. And he was looking for a vice president of operations. And I went on a year-long journey with him, and finally he extended an invitation for me to join Starbucks, and kind of the rest is history. 21 years at Starbucks and an incredible journey.
21 years at Starbucks. Wow, that's a really incredible one. And you've played an integral role in developing Starbucks into the $80 billion company that it is. So what are some of the advices you would give companies who truly want to scale up, and especially during these COVID times when the thought of scaling up becomes very scary?
Well, first of all, you have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to believe that you do have the ability and a future in scaling up. But most importantly is getting the right people on the bus, as Jim Collins liked to say, in Good, Great, and Built to Last. You have to have, it's the people that make your business grow. I have this belief, there's a little equation, and it goes like this. Grow the people grow the organization, and the organization grows the business. And that's pretty much the way it is. without great people, you can't scale up. And that's what it took at Starbucks. And it was always making sure we never had enough people, enough great people, no matter what, until we had a downturn in 2008. Then of course we had too many people, but you really need quality people, people that care as passionately about your business or your organization as you do. And that's what makes it work at the end of the day. It wasn't Howard Schultz or myself or another guy named Warren Smith that really built the business. It was the people of Starbucks that built the business. All we did was knock down the hurdles and make sure that we lived to our values.
Okay, so how do you get these great people, Howard? Because that's one of the struggles most companies and leaders face. How do you really get these great people to join you?
Well, people want to work for something that's bigger than themselves. They want to work for something that's more important than making a profit. And so we always focused on that. We were a servant-led company. We really helped our people get what they wanted out of life, and in turn, they helped us get what we wanted out of the organization. But I have this belief: you recruit early, you recruit late, you recruit often. You're always looking for good people. When I used to walk the malls looking at what was going on in retail, if I ran into somebody that was good, believe me, they got my card. And so I always just believe that you always should be talking to people about the possibility of joining your organization. And of course, the ones that you hire need to be the ones that align with your own values, with the purpose of the organization, and they commit themselves to the growth and the betterment of the organization. But it's like anything else, once you get it going, like attracts like, you start to hire great people, and great people want to work with great people. It's pretty simple. And so you just keep doing that over and over again, and eventually it starts to get its own momentum, and great people want to join your organization. So, it's not easy, but it's not complicated either. It's just paying attention.
And like you rightly said, I think it's the purpose. People connect with the purpose. And so what has been Starbucks' purpose that people connected with, where you were able to hire these great minds?
Well, early on like all businesses, you tend to be focused on your product or your service. And we recognized early on that we weren't in the business of selling coffee, but we were in the people business. And so we just focused on that. And Starbucks was a unique place. So, we talk about, purpose. Well, we had what Jim Collins calls a BHAG, Big Hairy Audacious Goal, and that was a primary purpose. We wanted to be one of the most well-known and respected organizations in the world, known for nurturing and inspiring the human spirit, known for nurturing and inspiring the human spirit. Not a word about how big we wanted to be, not a word about how much profit we want to make, not even the word coffee under that. It was all about who we wanted to be as people and how we wanted to help the world and the people that we serve, both the people that worked in our organization and those people we call customers. But that has driven us this whole time.
Now, this is a catchphrase coined by you while you were in Starbucks, right? We aren't in the.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a catchphrase, because that's making too light of it.
Okay.
It was really, it was real. It was a driving purpose, and we all believed in it. And when we got off track, we always came back to that.
So how did this change the Starbucks work culture? We aren't in the coffee business. So we aren't in the coffee business serving people. We are in the people business serving coffee. That's an excellent one. How did this change the entire Starbucks work culture?
It got everybody to understand why we were there. Yeah, coffee was important, but it was where we showed a lot of creativity. It was like our music and our art. But what made Starbucks tick was our respect for the people that worked in the organization. Everybody at Starbucks, from a barista all the way up to the CEO, got health insurance. And they basically got the same health insurance. Everybody got equity in the company, from a barista to the CEO. And those kind of things made a huge difference. We could walk down the hallway, look at everybody in the face, and everybody believed we were in it together. It wasn't just about making officers rich, but it was giving everybody the opportunity to be part of it. And so that's what, to me, what really drives an organization is a feeling that they matter, that you matter if you work at Starbucks, you matter.
So you have been in in the industry for now, like you said, 50 years and 21 years in Starbucks itself. Um, you have been instrumental in scaling the business up. What are some of the mistakes you feel today that leaders do while they are thinking of scaling up their organizations? The top 20% who are sitting up there, who are decision makers, who are wanting to scale up the business. What are some of the mistakes you feel they get caught up in?
They believe that they're in their product business. They believe that whatever, if they say they're Starbucks coffee, they believe that they're in the coffee business. If they say that they're, some furniture company, they believe they're in the furniture business. They're not. They're in the people business. And so they make the mistake of thinking that everybody that works in the organization cares deeply about their product or service. What people care, sorry about that. Sorry about that. It was my two little dogs. Okay.
Nice one to have.
Yeah. Anyway, they forget that they're there to take care of their people. That's, to me, the biggest thing. That if they focus on developing their people and caring about their people and making sure their people are getting what they want out of their work and out of their life in the organization, and the people are going to want to make it happen at the organization. So to me, that's the primary one. Then the next one is really understanding what your business is about. What do your customers want? What makes them tick? What do they want in your organization? There's some leaders see around corners, and they know what their customers want before their customers do. Steve Jobs was a great example of that. Not exactly always the nicest person in the world, but his people loved him because he was honest about who he was. But most importantly, he could see around corners. He knew what people wanted an iPhone long before anybody knew that we needed an iPhone. He knew that we wanted an iPad long before anybody knew that we needed an iPad. So, it takes that. You have to be able to not just see what's directly ahead of you. You have to see what isn't directly ahead of you. And that's really critical. And those are skills that can be developed. They're not magical skills. They're not magical skills. And they're skills that you work on and you develop over time by listening. And so you listen to your people, because nobody knows more about what your customers want and need than your own people. And so you got to listen to your people, and then you need to spend the time listening to those customers as well. And then, another thing is that you compete on many different levels. You compete primarily for people, but you also compete for a mind share, right? People recognizing that you're there. In the early days of Starbucks, people didn't know Starbucks. Mm-hmm. And so we figured out that it wasn't going to be marketing that was going to make Starbucks work. It was going to be opening more stores so that people could see us. And that was our, retail at that time. If you're on the internet, you got to find ways of getting mind share. And so that's an important thing as well. The other thing that we compete on is raising capital. Raise it early. Take more than you think you need at the time. If you think you need $1 million, try to raise $2 million. Don't be afraid of giving up equity. Too many business leaders, when they're trying to raise capital, their number one thing is, I don't want to give up equity. But, you need to be able to give up equity to raise capital. And, if you build your business big enough, you're going to do just fine. You'll make all the money you need to make. But if you get greedy and you're not willing to give up equity so that you can raise more capital, that does damage. So, those are a few of the basic things that it takes to scale a business. But,
And it starts at the level at which you began, that you first take care of your people, because they are the ones, when they grow, they are going to grow grow
Yeah.
the business also. So I think these are, and I really agree to what you said on the product side, that we are, we as leaders get so caught up in the product itself, in the service itself, that we believe that this is what we are in for, is for that product. We don't realize that it is our clients who need to really understand the product, and we are here to serve them. So
Right.
just coming to that point of service, uh, you speak a lot about servant leadership, and
Yes.
I've seen it in so many of your articles and your interviews. So, what exactly, Howard, is servant leadership?
That we serve our people before they serve us. We trust our people before they trust us. We give love our people before they love us. And our role as a leader in life is to help our people get what they want out of life. So we're paying attention to that all the time. And rather than expecting them to give us first, we give them first. And that's what it takes. When they know that you care about them, right, almost more than you care about yourself, doesn't mean you don't care about yourself, but that they understand that they believe that you're willing to do anything for them and to help them. And so then they want to do the same thing for you. There's a lot of business leaders that are greedy. They're just trying to get their people to work harder, to spend more hours, versus helping their people get what they want out of life and helping their people achieve their goals in life. And that's the issue. Servant leadership is about serving others. It's, all of us are put on this earth primarily to serve other human beings. That's really our only role. I don't care what you sell. If you're a consultant, it doesn't make any difference what you do. There's only one reason we're all put on this earth, and that's to serve other human beings. And so with the people that work in our organizations, we have to understand we're there to serve them. I can't, whenever I hear leaders say people are our most important asset, I know they don't get it, because people are not assets. Yeah. Assets are computers and trucks and buildings. You own assets. You don't own people. People never give you what you expect. They ever give you more or giving you less. And because we're human beings, we make mistakes. And so leaders have to understand that people are not assets. You don't own them. And that means that you have to serve them.
I've really heard a very, very different perspective on this, and I truly love it, Howard. All the time we have been reading in business magazines, people are your assets, people are your assets. And today I'm hearing such a different perspective. It is music to my ears when you said, your people are not your assets. Assets are all these stationaries and your computers. So just going to the servant leadership, what are some of the qualities or traits that you feel or you've seen a servant leader must have?
Well, know these because they're common sense stuff. It's authenticity. Mm-hmm. Be who you are. What you say you are is who you need to be. So there can't be a gap, right? If you say you love your people, then you need to show you love your people. If you say you respect your people, then you need to show it. Right. So authenticity, vulnerability, being open. If you make a mistake, you need to be the first one to make it. Don't point the finger at somebody else. Mm-hmm. Own it. You own anything that goes on in an organization, you own, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That doesn't mean you do it all, but you got to own it. So you have to be vulnerable. You have to show that you're a real person, and that you're not always trying to protect yourself. Yeah, and then I think primarily that you have to love your people, mm-hmm. right? And we don't like to use that word love in the business world, but it's really important. It matters when that you show your love to your people, that you really care about them, and that they know the difference. They know when it's real. They know when it's not real. And then the fourth thing is trust. Right? You got to give trust before you get trust. You hire great people, you don't have to create a rule book for all of them. Tell them what the goals of the organization are, what we're trying to accomplish, what the greater purpose of the organization, and why you brought them into the organization. Then leave them alone. I have this saying, it goes like this: the person who sweeps the floor should choose the broom. So when you hire somebody that really knows a lot about IT, give them the room to grow to do the things that they need to do. And as long as they understand what the greater purpose of the organization is, give them the room to grow the business. And always remember that what you do is what they see. That's what they believe. No matter what you say, it's what you do that counts. It's just like your kids at home. People don't care. If people don't care what you say, they want to know what you do.
Yes, absolutely. And I liked how you started that, Howard, that, Payal, this is common sense. And I was like, okay, yeah, common sense is not so common in the world. So those
No,
were
it's not.
great insights. Yes, yes, absolutely, Howard. So most companies we see they have a hierarchy culture. So how do we foster this servant leadership in a culture where there is hierarchy and where you have
Well,
everything
yeah.
coming top down?
Reverse the triangle.
Okay.
I'd put your people at the top, at
Mhm.
the apex of the triangle, and you're at the bottom, and that means that you're supporting that or the organization. And you have to think differently. You're not the boss, right? We don't need bosses. What we need are coaches and enablers and people that care about other human beings, and that's what really makes it work. And sometimes it's hard to do because you think you're the CEO, you're the all important person. You're not. You're not the all important person. Yeah, you have responsibility in the organization, but it's the people that are on the front line serving the customer. They're the most important people in the organization. Listen to them.
Mhm. That means, it's basically that the CEO or anything is just a position. You are here for your people. And in my own with my own team, I follow this principle a whole lot that you're not working for me. We are all working together in this and making a difference in the lives of the people. And I think that really works miracles. Howard,
It does.
I've personally read your awesome list of personal values and missions in your life. I would love to know the backstory of what got you to write these down, and is it possible to share these in the podcast?
Sure. Yes, of course. So I wrote them down because I when I was young, I was struggling, and I won't go into the whole story, but somebody said, Howard, you can't be who you are. And I didn't have the strength to say, well, what do you mean? This is who I thought you hired and who you liked, and I was performing well. And so I struggled with that. And I decided that I was never going to allow anybody to challenge me on that again. So I was always wore my heart on my sleeve. You always knew what I was thinking. I was very authentic and vulnerable, and I didn't care. I never worried about, if I made a mistake, I was willing to admit it. And I always thought, well, that's how you grow. And the other thing, they said, you not only wear your heart on your sleeve, but you're willing to share your opinion too much. You're too out there. And so I decided, I went through from a guy that loved his work to a guy that hated his work in a period of about 3 months, because of that. And so I decided I was going to go on a journey of trying to discover who Howard was.
Mm-hmm. And so, tell me what age was this, Howard?
I was about 26 years old.
26 years old. Okay. Yeah. At that age where we are all still figuring out what we need to do and everything, you had this, inner drive to really put down these values and these missions that could take you ahead in life. Wow. So tell us more about it, Howard.
So I decided, I read this, somebody gave me a book, and the first chapter of the book said, you need to write down what your values are. These are the things that inform the actions and the decisions you make in your life, your core values. It needs to be 8 to 10. It doesn't mean there aren't 50 other or 100 other values that you can live by, but there's 8 to 10 that are core to you. And the second thing it said in the book, the second chapter of the book said, you need to take those 8 to 10 core values and you have to define what they mean to you. So my first core value is honesty. So what does honesty mean to me? Does it mean I won't tell a white lie? No. But I won't lie to anybody intentionally. I won't then when somebody asks a question of me, they're going to get an honest answer.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to it's going to be my answer. I didn't say it was a truth, because everybody might have a little bit of their own truth, by how they've lived their life, but it was going to be an honest answer according to my truth. And so I've tried to live my life by doing that. It hasn't, sometimes, people don't like it, but you have to choose how you live your life. You do it when you're honest, you do it with love and caring in your heart. It's not, you don't say to somebody, hey, you're a jerk, or you putting somebody else down, but you do it with love and caring in your heart. So I wrote down all my core values, and I wrote down what each of those core values meant. And then it said you have to develop a personal mission statement. Now you got to remember, this was 50 years ago. I never heard of the word mission statement.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Nobody talked about mission statements in companies. Nobody really talked that much about values, but this book talked about it. It was more on a personal level, not on a corporate level. And so I put this all together. And, in those days, I was in the home furnishings business, and my mission statement was pretty simplistic. I wanted to be one of the most well thought of people in the home leaders in the home furnishings industry. It was a pretty core, mission. And then when I got to Starbucks, I was in my mid 40s, and we came out with that statement. We want to be one of those well-known and respected organizations in the world, known for nurturing and inspiring the human spirit. I said to myself, that's it. And it brought tears to my eyes. I said, that's who I want to be. That's how I want to be recognized. And so I just plagiarized it. I said, every day I want to nurture and inspire the human spirit, beginning with myself first and then for others. And that's what I try to do. Wow. And I try to live my life every day doing that. And then I developed what I call my 6 Ps. This is how I live my life. Mm-hmm. And the first P is everything I do has to have a purpose greater than myself. Mm-hmm. It can't be just doing it to do it. It's got to be bigger than me and a purpose greater than myself. The second P is if I'm going to have a purpose greater than myself, then I darn well better be passionate about it. Scream it from the highest mountaintops. Commit. Tell people what you're trying to do. Don't be shy about it, and be energetic about it and passionate about it. The third P is persistence. One of the things I've learned, I've pretty much worked for entrepreneurs my whole life, or worked with entrepreneurs my whole life. And one of the things that I've learned about entrepreneurs, they are persistent. So that's my third P, is that there are rocks in the rivers of all of our lives. We sometimes know where the rocks are. Most of the time we don't. And we're going to hit those rocks, sometimes head on, and sometimes, it'll be a soft glancing blow. But we have to learn to figure out how to get over, around them, blow them up, or get through them somehow, because persistence matters in life. You have, when you commit, when you're passionate about, when you have a greater purpose and you're passionate about it, then you have to be persistent about it. And then the fourth P is patience. And they think that patience is the opposite of persistence. It's not. The most important person you have to be patient with is yourself. Not everything comes in the time that you want it to come, but you got to be patient with others too, because they don't always get things done in the time frame that you want. And so you got to have the patience to get things done. And sometimes it takes longer than you think it's going to take. And so you got to stay with it. So it goes with persistence. Mm. And then the fifth P is performance. Performance matters. We don't like to be measured. Human beings hate to be measured, but the facts are we're getting measured every day. If you have a significant other or you have a spouse in your life, you're getting measured by that spouse every day. They may not talk to you about it, but they're observing what's going on. Your kids are measuring you every day. Do you do what you say you're going to do? If you say you're going to be at the soccer game and you don't show up, that's not performance. Right. If you say you're going to live in a monogamous relationship and you don't, then that's not performance. Mm. If you commit to your boss to get something done at a certain time and you don't do it without telling them beforehand, that's not performance. Performance matters. And, we have to evaluate our own performance, and we got to be honest about it. We got to every day look in the mirror and say, how did I do today? How did I do against my values? How did I do against my mission? How did I do against my commitments in my life? And the 6 P, the most important P, and that's people. Everything we do in life is about serving other people. So I try to live my life by all of that. And, it served me well. Am I perfect? No, I'm not. But but those things have served me well, and I don't forget them. I can look at them every day and remind myself about them, and that's how I try to live.
And that question is so reflective. It is so deep. How did I do today? I think every single day, if we ask ourselves this question, we are going to get a very good, peaceful, good night's sleep, because you're rating your own self, you're evaluating your own self, and you can really run away and hide from everyone, but not your own self. So I think that's the question each of us as leaders must ask ourselves every single night. How did I do today? What was my performance like? And if you're not satisfied, then just like you said, Howard, the next day you become better. And like the 6 P's that you explained, you start using, see where you are lacking, what you're doing, and just improve the game every single day.
Yeah. That's all you can do, and there are nights when I'm sleepless because I'm unhappy about something I did or didn't do. That happens, and you got to be okay with that. It's not always easy, but you got to stay with it.
Absolutely. And in fact, it is difficult in the beginning and a little messy in the middle, but towards the end of it, it really pays off. And I'm just like you have seen it, and I've seen it in my life. It does pay off, even if it is hard in the beginning. You just get so comfortable with it later on in life. It just becomes a part.
There's one more piece to this, and that's a plan. You have to live your life with intention. Okay. And so if you don't know where you're going, any path will get you there. Mm-hmm. So you need to know where you're going, and then you have to figure out the steps of getting there. And it's how to eat an elephant, a bite at a time. It's the same way in life.
Yes, absolutely. And you just really have to make this a part of your DNA every single day as a leader. So right. Howard, talking with you, I really have 10 questions keep coming in my mind, but I also know how valuable your time is. So as people head out to their work and they get busy into doing what they are doing, and like you and I spoke earlier, it's not about busy, it's about productivity. So what inspiration words would you like to leave them with?
That one of the things I've learned is that I've talked about setting goals, about doing a mission, defining your values, right? And what you do in life, you've got to write it down. Mm-hmm. Only about 2% of the people in the country will do this, in the world will do this. If you do it, if you write these things down and you're constantly evaluating them and looking, nothing's written in stone. You can change anything you want to change, but write it down and live your life with intention. If you do that, then you're going to have a fulfilling life. Doesn't mean you're going to be happy every day. It's not my point, because the goal in life is not to be happy. The goal in life is to have a fulfilling life, which means that you're going to have happy days, sad days, you're going to have disappointment, you're going to have the thrill of victory, but you're going to leave this world having left the world a better place. And that's what we're really here to do, is leave it better than we found it.
Wow, that's really profound words, Howard, coming from you. Thank you so much. I must say these were some very, very incredibly useful insights from your side. And Howard, it's such a pleasure speaking with you. I have learned so much from this podcast. I cannot even emphasize that enough, and I'm very sure our listeners would want to keep rewinding this, replay it to hear so many of your nuggets. So thank you so much for the time and for being with us here on this episode, Howard.
Well, thank you very much for having me. But by the way, anybody that wants to contact me, I'm always open. My email address is hb@howardbehar.com. And my cell phone number is 206-972-7776. I will talk to anybody at any time. I may be a little slow getting back to you, but I will get back to you.
And that is so nice, Howard. It is really rare that people are reachable these days. And I would encourage our listeners to reach out to you. And until the next episode, here's to our listeners to keep in touch with me also on my Insta page and LinkedIn. Wishing all our listeners loads of success. This is Howard Behar and PAYAL Nanjiani signing off for this episode. Thank you.